In representing Mayo, the oldest electorate by median age in South Australia and among the top 10 oldest in the nation, I have the privilege of assisting my constituents with their aged care issues and those issues that are experienced by them and by their loved ones. So I wish to lend my voice to support my older constituents as we consider this bill. This bill will provide for technical and consequential amendments to give effect to the Aged Care Act 2024. It aims to ensure the Act's smooth implementation through transitional changes from the old to new Act, including ensuring correct payment of aged care subsidies, provision for interim services to be provided in high-demand periods and allowing access to unspent funds, clarifying information sharing between the Department of Health and Ageing and Services Australia, and that's going to be very important, provision of substantial penalties for misuse of personal information, and requiring 5 yearly reviews of the aged care quality standards. The bill refers to aged care rules, the final version of which is not due to be tabled until October, and I hear a November 1 start date. This seems to be cutting things very fine for providers to prepare for implementation and for recipients of aged care to know what to expect. I understand the bill includes a time-limited rule making power to enable the government to move more quickly to address emerging issues following implementation. This is highly unusual and concerning, and I do not think this place should write a blank cheque by providing the minister with the power to make rules which could alter and override rights, entitlements and obligations set out in the Act. That is the express intent of the Parliament without parliamentary consideration. That's the purpose of us being here. This bill also includes automated processes to support decisions on the classification level of aged care to which a person is entitled, the prioritisation and allocation of aged care places, and means testing to calculate how much a person should co-contribute financially to their care. Automation warrants real concern in my view, caution. And that particularly, I think, is given the sobering examples that we saw with robo-debt and the unfriendliness of online systems for older members of our community and for those who English is a second or perhaps third language. I therefore urge the government to guarantee improved availability of services to assist older people with that transition. Over the last 12 months, my constituents have reported sporadic difficulty and lengthy waiting times through to the Service Australia Aged Care line and My Aged Care. People will need quick, easy access to these supports and to aged care service officers to address any questions or problems that may arise out of the implementation of the new Act. And I note the bill avoids substantive changes to the Aged Care Act passed late last year. Unfortunately, this means some worrying policies, such as increasing co-payments for personal care, will not be revisited. And I remain concerned that increasing co-payments for personal care may be detrimental to older people who may feel that they cannot afford the care that they need. While help with a daily shower is not clinical care, a person's health can decline quickly, necessitating clinical care if they, for example, suffer an infection or a fall in the shower due to receiving inadequate personal care. I've asked advocates from the Council of the Ageing, COTA, National Seniors Australia, the Older Persons Advocacy Network known as OPAN, and Provider Peak Ageing Australia for their comments on this bill and thank them for their ongoing feedback on all things aged care related. I regret, as do these well-respected bodies, the delay in commencement of the new rights and protections for older people under the Act, but understand the need to defer the commencement from 1st of July this year to the 1st of November this year to enable providers and older people alike to properly prepare for change. I was pleased when the government heeded our calls by making a pre-election commitment to fund an additional 83,000 home care places from the 1st of July to address the huge number of people waiting a year or more for their approved home care packages to be allocated. The government's decision to defer delivery of these additional packages until after the new Act starts on the 1st of November rather than the 1st of July as promised is a great disappointment, and this will do one of two things. People will either end up injuring themselves and going into hospital, going perhaps prematurely into a aged care home. That is, of course, if they can get a bed, or indeed dying at home, perhaps prematurely. The peak bodies are also very concerned. National Seniors has pointed out that every time we refer to a backlog of the 87,597 packages, we are actually talking about nearly 90,000 people. This is people, not packages, who are not getting the care that they need and so rightly deserve. During that year of waiting for care for their approved level care, their health will likely deteriorate. They may have to be hospitalised or, as I said, relocate to residential care, and as I said, some will pass away. Last year, I asked the former Minister for Aged Care how many people had passed away or entered residential aged care during the 2023-2024 year while waiting for their approved level home care. I was informed that 3,383 people died and 7,380 entered residential aged care while waiting for their home care package that had been approved but was still not with them. These people had expressed the desire to receive help at home, preferred by them and cheaper for the taxpayer, and applied for this, but in the end they didn't receive it and their wishes were thwarted. The government's choice to continue this state of affairs when they have the power and the budget to address the delay in delivering home care is unkind to our most vulnerable citizens, and I would say it is unjust. Advocates share these concerns, and they've also called for the release of the additional packages per the government's pre-election commitment. And sadly, this has not been heeded. Delays are exacerbated by lengthening the wait times for aged care assessments at the start of the process. Before someone is approved to go on the National Priority System waiting list for home care, the government previously advised that the introduction of the single assessment system for aged care would help streamline assessment processes and clear backlogs. My constituents and peak bodies tell me that this is having the opposite effect. And while it may slow the growth of the actual waiting list, those numbers waiting for packages, those people waiting for packages, it inadequately reflects the build-up of unmet demand which continues to rise. My constituents Valerie and Peter have been trying since April to secure a reassessment for Peter, as his needs have changed markedly since his initial aged care assessment in 2021, despite growing urgency and their family's concerted contacts and efforts to contact My Aged Care and the assessment provider every week or two, and support from my office. They've only just secured a telephone reassessment for Peter this week, 3 months later. So it's unreasonable for families to have to advocate to this extent simply to secure an assessment date. We're not talking about the actual package. We're talking about someone actually conducting the assessment on a person, particularly when their needs change. Peter's family say they were advised by My Aged Care to book respite care for Peter in October without having an assessment conducted and approval in place. This was not tenable, since they were told it would be costing $600 per day compared with $40 to $60 per day if he had an assessment and approval for respite. Advocates advise that they are hearing from many older people seeking assistance with long assessment wait times. Some aged care assessment providers are resorting to telehealth to address the delays. And while this may seem quicker, telehealth aged care assessments are unlikely to deliver the best outcomes for older people, particularly those with more complex needs. Some carers report being asked by the assessor to comment on the abilities of the person being assessed without having the training to accurately describe this, all in the presence of the person that's being assessed. So after waiting 3 to 6 months for an assessment and then up to a year, I know it's over a year, for that home care package, when they finally do receive older care, people will be paying more for it under this new system that we're going to have. Increasingly, in the hourly rates of personal care and domestic assistance, as much as 100% have been flagged, an increase for some home care providers in Mayo, proposed to commence from the 1st of November. And some are above indicative price guides that have been issued for support at home services, and this will dramatically erode the care that people will be able to receive from their package money, even those guaranteed to be no worse off in terms of personal co-contributions. Charging twice as much per hour can only reduce the amount of care and services received. My constituent Beryl was provided with spreadsheets from her home care provider showing that if she were to maintain her current hours of personal care and domestic assistance following the introduction of support at home in November, she would have a funding shortfall of nearly $1,500 per month. Further, Beryl's funding would no longer cover services she has received for years: continence aids, Webster medication packaging, occasional meals, emergency alert monitoring and more. Despite receiving aged care since 2020 and thus being no worse off in terms of co-payments, this price hike would create a stark deficit in Beryl's care from November the 1st. It is clear she would be worse off on so many measures. Fortunately, Beryl has since been approved for a high-level home care package. Rather than increasing her care as hoped, a significant proportion of this additional funding will be absorbed by increased hourly rates for core supports and trying to maintain some of her other pre-existing services. Government assurances sent to Beryl in May that there were measures in place to ensure home care fees are reasonable and appear empty given these price cap hikes that she is going to experience. I'm concerned at the costs of this new system for our older generations who have built this country, who have raised younger generations, who have paid their taxes to support others in times of need. And I also recognise the many benefits of the reforms, including an independent complaints process, safeguards for decision-making, protections for whistleblowers, enhanced quality safeguards and a rights-based aged care system. However, we are not doing right by older Australians with the current wait list for home care packages and the enormous unknown volume of people that are actually just waiting to be seen. So, in conclusion, Deputy Speaker, while I do support this bill, there are, despite a Royal Commission, many failings still in how we deliver aged care in our nation, and overall we need to do much, much better by our older Australians. Thank you.